May 7th, 2025. This morning, the news just crackled with it. Confirmation. India had executed Operation Sindoor.
Operation Sindoor. Even the name itself, it grabs you. It tells you something significant happened.
It really does. But to, truly get what this means, we have to rewind a bit. Go back a couple of weeks to April 22nd.
Right. Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir.
Exactly. Picture this valley. It's known for being incredibly beautiful, serene even, a place you'd think of for peace.
And on that day, it became the absolute opposite, a site of just, brutal terror.
The targets were Hindu men, many of them newlyweds just starting their lives together.
Such a deliberate, cruel choice of victims.
25 Indian lives lost, and a citizen of Nepal as well.
And among them, Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, married for barely a week.
Barely a week, and the images later, his widow Himanshi, the absence of Sindoor, that image, that symbol of what was violated, it really hit hard.
It absolutely did. That attack wasn't just random violence. It felt like it was aimed right at the heart of, community, marriage, hope.
Yeah. The emotional shockwave went far beyond the valley.
Definitely. Targeting people at such a hopeful point in their lives, in a place meant for peace, it's deeply impactful.
So, given that context, Operation Sindoor feels like more than just standard military procedure. It's almost a national response, wouldn't you say?
I think that's fair. A response born from collective grief and outrage.
Right. So, in this deep dive, we're not just going to skim the headlines. We want to really understand Operation Sindoor.
Get into the why behind it.
Exactly. Why did it happen, and why these specific targets? And maybe the biggest question, what does this signal for the future? What's next?
We need to go beyond just the surface reports and really unpack the strategy, the implications.
Let's start with that trigger then. Pahalgam, the immediate suspects.
Well, suspicion fell straight away onto groups based in Pakistan, Lashkar-e-Taiba, LSTA, and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Familiar names, unfortunately.
Also the Resistance Front, TRF.
Yes, identified as a Lenti offshoot. These groups have, a long, bloody track record of attacks against India.
And the accusation from India was pretty direct, wasn't it? Pointing fingers at Pakistan's military intelligence for backing these groups.
Very direct. Indian intelligence sources were quoted saying the evidence was damning.
While Islamabad issued its expected denial.
Of course, a familiar script. But this time, Prime Minister Modi's promise of retribution, it felt different somehow. Heavier.
It set the stage, didn't it? Like something significant was coming. And Operation Sindoor was that answer.
It was the fulfillment of that promise, a direct response to that attack, fueled by that national sense of grief and anger we talked about.
Okay, let's talk about the name itself. Sindoor. It's unusual for a military operation.
It really is. It's not like Desert Storm or Urgent Fury.
Right. For anyone listening who might not know, Sindoor is that red powder Hindu married women wear. It's a very powerful symbol.
Symbolizing marriage, love, commitment. Traditionally, even things like valor and protection.
So choosing that name, it feels incredibly deliberate.
Oh, absolutely deliberate. It links the operation directly back to the Pahalgam victims, especially Lieutenant Narwal and the other newlyweds.
It transforms a military strike into something deeply personal and symbolic.
It's India saying, we're protecting the very essence of what was attacked. It's a statement of resolve.
Almost like reclaiming that symbol, saying, you attacked this, but we defend it. It's strategic messaging, right there in the name.
Very much so. Powerful messaging.
Okay, so the tragic why is clear. Now, the where. 9 targets. 4 inside Pakistan proper, 5 in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, or PoK. Can you walk us through these?
Sure. The selection wasn't random at all. It points to years of intelligence gathering by RAW and IB. Let's start with the 4 in Pakistan. First, Bahawalpur.
In Punjab province, why Bahawalpur?
It's the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, Masood Azhar's base, essentially. The nerve center for the group behind attacks like Pulwama in 2019.
So hitting Bahawalpur was hitting the GEM leadership directly.
Exactly. Strike at the core. Then there's Muridke, also in Pakistan.
This one's been called Letty's what? Penthouse suite?
Something like that. It's the main hub for Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hafiz Saeed's group, the ones behind the 2008 Mumbai attacks.
Another name that evokes terrible memories. So Muridke is crucial for Letty's operations.
Absolutely. Recruitment, training, planning, it all happens there. Targeting it, aimed to dismantle their infrastructure and send a direct message to Saeed.
Makes sense. Okay, third location, SCALP.
SCALP is very close to the Indian border. Intelligence points to it as a major route for smuggling weapons and infiltrating terrorists into Jammu and Kashmir.
So like a main supply line for cross-border terror.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Hitting SCALP disrupts that flow. And the fourth one inside Pakistan was Chakamru, maybe less known.
Less familiar, yeah. What's its significance?
It was identified as a key logistics base for Hizbul Mujahideen. They're known for targeting civilians within Kashmir. So taking out Chakamru hurts their ability to operate and sustain violence in the region.
Okay, that covers the 4 inside Pakistan. Now, the 5 in PoK, Muzaffarabad is first.
Right. Muzaffarabad carries both strategic and symbolic weight. It's the administrative capital of PoK.
So hitting it sends a strong political message, too.
Definitely. And it's also known to host numerous terror training camps, a coordination center.
Got it. Next.
Kotli. Again, close to the line of control of the LACE. Intelligence consistently identifies Kotli as a major launch pad for infiltrators trying to cross into India.
A key staging ground.
Exactly. And then Bimber, also near the Las. Think of Bimber as a nerve center for coordinating those cross-border attacks. Disrupting Bimber hampers their planning and execution right near the border.
So Kotli and Bimber were about choking off that immediate cross-Lost Sea threat.
That seems to be the tactical logic, yes. The 8th location is Terrakalan.
Terrakalan, what was the focus there?
This site was specifically identified for training and, crucially, indoctrination of new recruits. Hitting Terrakalan impacts their ability to regenerate forces long-term.
Undermining their future capacity. Okay, and the 9th target.
The 9th one. We know is in PoK, but the exact location hasn't been disclosed.
Which probably tells us something in itself.
It likely indicates it was a particularly high-value target, and the secrecy confirms the strike was probably successful and sensitive.
So these 9 locations, taken together, paint a picture of a complex terror network. Leadership deep inside Pakistan, logistics and training closer to the border.
All mapped out over years by Indian intelligence. These weren't random hits. They were targeted nodes in that network.
And the reported results were significant. Over 70 terrorists claimed killed, 60 injured. That's a major blow to their operational capacity.
A very significant blow. Though it's important to note, Pakistan reported civilian casualties 2, 9 dead, 38 injured. India firmly denies this, stressing the precision used.
Which brings us to the how. The execution. Precision seems to be the key word here.
Absolutely critical. This wasn't some carpet bombing campaign. It involved rare tri-service coordination, Army, Navy, Air Force working together.
That level of coordination itself is noteworthy.
Highly noteworthy. And the tech involved points to that precision aim. Rafale jets.
Top-of-the-line aircraft, launching 24 precision missiles, reportedly, from within Indian airspace.
Key point. From within Indian airspace. No boots on the ground, no violation of Pakistani airspace claimed by India, a standoff, surgical strike.
And the Army and Navy weren't just bystanders.
No, they were crucial.
Yeah.
Providing real-time intelligence, logistical support. That seamless integration suggests very careful planning and execution.
And the speed. It apparently started around 1:44 a.m. and was over in 23 minutes.
Remarkable speed and efficiency. That timeline speaks volumes.
We also heard Prime Minister Modi was monitoring it directly.
Yes, with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval coordinating the intelligence side. High-level oversight.
And the use of loitering munitions. Drones, essentially.
Right. These are basically smart drones that can wait, observe, and strike with extreme precision at the right moment. Again, reinforcing that focus on minimizing collateral damage.
So when Pakistan claimed mosques were hit,
India's defense ministry immediately and strongly denied it. They insisted the targets were verified terror infrastructure, period.
Pakistan's immediate military reaction seemed limited. They scrambled jets.
You scrambled their JF-17s. There was an unconfirmed report. One might have been down, but that's unclear.
Yeah.
More concerning were the artillery strikes across the LACE.
Which tragically killed 3 Indian civilians in Poonch and Rajouri.
Yes. A terrible outcome. India stated it responded proportionately.
That word, proportionate, it's always a fine line, isn't it? Showing resolve without massive escalation.
A very delicate balance, especially in this context.
After the strikes, India moved quickly on the diplomatic front.
Immediately, briefing key countries. The U.S., UK, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Russia. The message was consistent. This was counterterrorism, not aggression.
NSA Doval even spoke directly with the U.S. Secretary of State, highlighting the importance of that channel.
Absolutely. And the international reactions were varied, as you'd expect.
We had President Trump urging de-escalation, the UN Secretary General calling for restraint.
Standard responses, largely. Israel expressed support for India's right to defend itself. China took a more neutral stance, expressing regret and calling for peace.
Meanwhile, Pakistan condemned the strikes. Deputy PM Ishaq Dar was quite vocal.
And Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif promised a forceful response. Though so far that seems to have been mainly closing airspace and suspending trade, plus the diplomatic condemnation.
There does seem to be international skepticism about their civilian casualty claims, too.
Given the history and India's emphasis on precision, yes, there's definitely scrutiny.
Back home in India, the reaction was quite different, a striking level of unity.
It really was.
Yeah.
Political divisions seemed to just melt away, at least temporarily. Leaders across the board supported the military action.
Yeah, we saw Congress President Kharge, Jairam Ramesh, Shiv Sena's Krishna Hegde, Akhilesh Yadav, Tejashwi Yadav. His courage prevails. Tweet got a lot of attention.
It showed a strong national consensus against terrorism, and the public reaction mirrored that. Hashtag Operation Sindoor was trending everywhere.
The Indian Army's own message was brief but powerful. Justice is served. Jai Hind.
That captured the mood perfectly.
And the reactions from the families of the Pahalgam victims. Very moving. Lieutenant Narwal's father expressing gratitude.
Aishanya Dwivedi, another widow, thanking the PM Harshal Lail, who lost his father, saying this shouldn't be the end. It highlights the raw emotion involved.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, in Jammu and Kashmir itself, authorities moved quickly.
Understandably, CM Omar Abdullah held emergency meetings. Schools closed in border areas, airports temporarily shut. Precautionary measures.
And coincidentally, a nationwide civil defense drill was already scheduled for that day.
Which just added to the overall sense of heightened alert across India.
Let's talk timing again. That 2-week gap between Pahalgam and Operation Sindoor, it wasn't just waiting, was it?
No, definitely not. It was strategic. That time was essential for several things.
Right.
Finalizing intelligence, meticulous operational planning. This was complex and crucially diplomatic groundwork. Briefing key nations beforehand.
Preparing the ground internationally. And we heard PM Modi met with defense chiefs and gave them complete operational freedom.
Which signals high-level backing and trust in the military's plan.
It also felt like India kept its preparations very quiet. Contrast that with reports of Pakistani troop movements and exercises during that time.
Right. India seemed to opt for strategic silence, maximizing the element of surprise, avoiding any signals that might allow Pakistan to preempt or escalate first. A calculated risk that paid off.
So placing Operation Sindoor in context, it feels like another step in an evolving strategy.
Absolutely. Think back to the 2016 surgical strikes after Uri, then the 2019 Balakot airstrike post-Pulwama. There's a clear trend.
A trend towards more assertive, more precise, maybe technologically bolder actions across the border.
Exactly. Each operation built on the last, showing increased willingness and capability to strike back directly at the source of terror. Operation Sindoor really showcases India's advanced capabilities.
The Rafales, the SCALP missiles, those loitering munitions, it's about smart warfare, striking from Indian airspace.
Minimizing risk to personnel, maximizing precision. It's a significant capability demonstration.
But the risks remain huge, don't they? This is still a nuclear-armed neighborhood. The border is incredibly volatile.
Undeniably. Pakistan's retaliatory shelling, even if limited, proves the potential for escalation is always there. The situation remains tense.
Yet, India's message seems crystal clear. There are consequences for harboring terrorists.
A very firm stance. The operation sends that message loud and clear. But the underlying issues, the tensions, they obviously persist.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, we're waiting on that Defense Ministry press conference scheduled for 10 a.m. today.
We expect more details might emerge. Satellite imagery, maybe damage assessments, perhaps more operational specifics.
India will likely keep stressing the anti-terror focus, reassuring the world they don't seek wider conflict.
While Pakistan will likely double down on its denials and propaganda efforts regarding terror camps and civilian casualties.
It leaves us with this dual feeling in India, doesn't it? Pride in the armed forces, but also that deep pain for the Pahalgam victims. The name Sindoor really ties those together.
It perfectly captures that complex mix of sorrow, resolve, love, and valor.
Which brings us to the final thought for you, the listener. What happens now? What will Pakistan's next strategic move be? Will this change anything fundamental in their approach?
Or will they continue down the same path? And for India, how does it maintain this posture? How does it continue to adapt its strategy in this incredibly complex, dangerous environment?
Those are the big questions hanging in the air as the dust begins to settle from Operation Sindoor.
Critical questions for the future of the region.
Indeed. A lot to think about. Thank you for joining us for this exploration, Jai Hind.